tonight I'm going to share with you all about my personal outlook for 1H 2023. Now, I can only see as far as 1H 2023 because currently while things are having, we have a kind of visibility in front of us compared to like 3 months ago, still there are quite a bit of uncertainties going on, right? And as far as all these things are concerned, what I would say the 60%, 70% kind of sure things only allow me or the people who I'm working with to see up to first half of 2023. Now, what happened to the second half of 2023 much has to depend on those events or the situations going to be happen or sometimes in March or April. Then that will allow us to, to path ourselves forward to the next half of the year. So basically, that's why this session itself, instead of talking about the whole of 2023, I will just only focus on 1H 2023. Okay, so disclaimer, the full content of the program is for educational purpose only and should not be used as an investment recommendations. Okay, so today I'm going to split this 1 hour content into 3 parts. First is to look at the economic status, something that allow us to draw the conclusions from here, and project forward. So economic data are important, and of course, for those who are not familiar with those data, I will explain to them. Then, of course, I'll talk about the outlook of 2023. Then I will talk about portfolio strategy. In fact, it's my portfolio strategy. Right? So that's what I plan to do. Now, before I go ahead and talk about all these big things, I sort of want to have everyone's opinion as well, because the market is actually forms of a very big group of people who form different opinions, right? It's actually driven by that kind of strength or sentiment. So over here, I'm just going to do a very quick poll, from a personal point of view. What do you all think about 2023? And when I say what do you think about 2023, you can think of it from a job perspective. You can think from your financial perspective. You can think of your investment perspective, in terms of how do you feel, your personal feel, about 2023, the market on 2023, all right? So I just want to have a poll. Now, if you think that next year, if you think that it is inclined to be bad, type a 0. If you think that the market inclines to be better, that means it's good, it's not as bad as what people think, then just type a 1. Okay, I've Aravind 0. Charlie is 1, okay. 1, 1, Charles is 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay, Adam is 0. Okay, this is a big thing. Let me do the counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 1. 5, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 1, and 5, 0. You mean, can I have your poll? I mean, I would love to have your opinion as well. You mean it's not there? Okay. Okay, it means it's not there. Never mind. Okay, so I have 4 1s and 5 0. That will means that the numbers is actually 50-50. So there are people who thinks to be a little bit bad side, or some inclines to think that it is a little bit good. The overall is that the market will be sort of like sideways. Okay, that's how I will just interpret from our little poll over here as well. So this, how I see this market itself is, as I said, is going to be data driven, and so I will share with you all my personal opinion, you know, when I go through, you know, the presentations tonight. Okay. So I always like to use this liquidity cycle, you know, to help us to determine where we are in today's market, right? Before we go to, you know, start to make any plans, or start to make plans, or make take certain actions, always we need to know where we are in today's market, right? So where's the market is heading? We are already seeing the inflation rises, where we are seeing interest rate continue to rise. We are seeing stock price has fall, although is the fall in local market is not that great yet, but still across, you know, in the major market like the Eurozone, the US market, the Korean market, the Japanese JPX, and including the Hong Kong index, the stock price has generally been corrected at least 25 to 30% more. All right. So now it left with only these three things: recession, bond price rises, and inflation falls. Right. So if you are reading the media and reading from the newspaper, and people are talking about recessions, we don't have to wait for the official numbers to come out, right? Because recessions, as defined by the economists, is that 2 quarters of continually negative growth of GDP is considered as a recession. It's defined as a recession. But around us, if you're reading the papers, you're following the news, in Singapore context, the big tech companies has already started to do a lot of trimming, and you know, big numbers of people have been laid off. Now, how is it going to affect the rest of the industry? We do not know. We do not know. So let's say, supposing that going forward, there are not big numbers of people is being retrenched compared to the previous year, then obviously we know that the market is not doing well, as in general, as in the job market is not doing well. People are not, companies are not employing, you know, salary becomes stagnant, and therefore restricting people to spend money, right? So recession is, whether is it here or not, to me, actually it's not important. The important thing is that to look at, you know, the general job market, the general, how the bosses, how the decisions makers, you know, are they doing more investment in their own companies, or are they tends to be a little bit more prudent, you know, during this period of time? So that is the concern that we have, right? The bond price so far, as we see year to date, is that it is still very depressed. That's why the bond yield is quite high, meaning to say that if you can buy $1 bond at 95 cents, or some go at 80 cents or 85 cents. So that headrooms itself is actually quite big, and therefore the bond yield itself is high, right? So for the market to recover, the bond price will have to rise, right? But currently it has come, the bond has actually sort of like declining, and it is showing a sign of bottom up, meaning to say that it has reached the bottom, and it is you know, about to climb up. Now, so with this, what I'm trying to say here is this: the whole world, all right, the whole world, all the government is only tackling, you know, in short, only one issue is inflation. That's where, you know, people are paying, you know, funny price, you know, for a tray of eggs of 10. I believe now we are paying in the price of about $3.20 to $3.50, you know. And I can recall about a year ago, or even 1.5 years ago, it was just $2.20, $2.30. So that inflation is very real, and this is where we are heading, at this point. Recessions, bond price rise, and we are aiming for inflation falls over here. So going forward, after this entire cycle, then what we would expect, all right, what we would expect sometimes in maybe perhaps towards the end of 2023 or 2024, we probably will see this happen. We do not know yet, all right? As I said, what I'm trying to tell you is that whatever that we can see right now, my visibility is only up to 1H 2023. So when is it going to happen? Right now is everybody guess, but economists is looking at the year 2024 for this to happen, right? So we are right here. So having said that, let's look at a set of US economics data right now. Reason why we are looking at economics data is because our Singapore two major export countries, one is China and the other one is US market. So no matter how we look at it, is the US market is still an important market. It's basically is a bearing for us, right? For us to look at it and say, hey, how well is the US economy is doing and how it actually will affect us in terms of making our own investment decisions. So number one thing, we want to look at the US market because US is pretty much driven by consumer sentiment in general. And if you look at this chart itself, going from January 20 this year, the beginning of this year, in fact late last year, December of 2021, you can see the confidence level is at an index of 70.6, and today it fell all the way to 58.8, and is basically a declining. So the US consumers are basically pretty, I would say they are not optimistic, right? They are not optimistic about what is going on right now. And that actually translates into their purchasing power or their purchasing ability. And that will also indirectly affect some of the consumer discretionary kind of investment, consumer discretionary sectors. So we're talking about Walmart's, the supermarket, and non-durable goods, durable goods as well. So all these is all translate into, in terms of spending, they are basically declining from month to month, right? So for this is actually not a good sign, right? It's not a good sign. The second set of number is unemployment rate. And miraculously, as I was looking to it, and I was like, wow, either the statisticians is doing a very good job, or if not, then something must have happened along the way. Because looking at this chart itself, from December 2021 until today, that unemployment rate has been maintained at a very, very nice level, right? 3.9, 3.7, 3.6, 3.6, 3.7, 3.5, 3.6. So the change is actually marginal. Now, I want to talk about unemployment rate is because this is actually a federal target. All right, it's a federal target. The federal target for unemployment rate is 3.7. Right. So if the unemployment rate fall below 3.7, let's say it comes to, let's say, like 2, then that is something that the Fed will be very, very, very worried. All right. But as far as things are concerned, the magic number for the Fed is to maintain the unemployment rate at 3.7, which means that they will be able to stop their interest rate hike. All right, one of the element to stop the rate hike. right? So apparently these numbers has been pretty consistent, and therefore taking that into considerations, this is considered one task, one to-do list been ticked off already by the Feds. So let's hope that the next few quarters things will maintain the same. If it falls below the 3.7, it goes to, let's say, 3, then something that will keep Jerome Powell awake at night, really, right? So this is unemployment rate. Inflation. Now, inflation is coming down. So the worst apparently has over. And with the rate hikes, you can see that inflation has been continuously going down to 7.7%. The November numbers is going to be out by this Friday. And the economist is projecting that this number is going to be lower than 7.7, which is good. All right. Now, again, if the numbers go, above this, then that's something which again, the market will react differently, from if the number is going to be higher than this. The same actually happens in April, right? So inflation was all the way up to 8.5. And then it came down to 8.3. The market was like cheering, hooray. But what happened was that come May, it actually went up, and therefore the market has a huge reaction to that. Therefore, the stock price, came down drastically, and then subsequently it went to 9.1, which is really, disastrous. So the market volatility actually depends on this set of numbers. So this is also one of the factors that the federal is looking at as well. So the next set of numbers is going to be in, I believe it's this Friday. So everyone will be watching for that set of numbers over here. Okay. 10 years bond, like I mentioned earlier on. So this is, you see this, how this chart and this actually works hand in hand. As the inflation comes down, the bond price has actually go up. Therefore, the yield is down, right? So down, this is basically the yield, the percentage. So the highest it gives is about 4.2%, 4.25%, right? And then now it is coming down to 3.57 for the fact that because the bond price has go up, therefore the yield will come down, which is normal, right? This is how it should be, the way that a market should behave. Fed rates currently is at 4%, all right, and we are expecting another 50 BPS to be announced this month to 4.5%. So what to expect? What expect to happen in December 2022, which is this month, is 50 basis point rate hike. So that will bring 4% to 4.5%. And then we anticipate another 25 basis point hike in February 2023. So that will bring us to 4.75. Okay, so this is what majority of people or economists will expect at this point. All right. Now, would there be any change on this two set of numbers? Yes. It all depends on this and this. All right. In fact, there's another set of numbers. It's called PCE, personal consumptions and expenses, I think. Yeah, personal consumption expenses. So PCE is it doesn't fall into this what we call the statistics bureau, but it was conducted by universities, and the Fed is actually looking at that numbers as well. So would that be a change with this with these numbers? it may be. It all really depends on this Friday. What will come up from the statistics department. So rate projections now is 4%, 4.5 forecast by end of 2022, 4.75 forecast in February 2023, 5% forecast in March 2023. So there will be still a headroom of 1% from today. If I base on today informations, that will be another 1%. Target 5.4 end of 2022. See, so Fed is actually looking at 5.4. So we would like to see, in January, by January 2023, we would like to see the December inflation rate sitting at 5.4%. 5.4%. So if I would take a wild guess between 5.4 and 7.7, I would say if the November inflation rate falls in the numbers of 6, 6 point something, the market will react positively. In terms of stock markets, I'm referring to stocks market, right? The market will actually react positively if it will fall between 5 and 7, which is 6 region. So that's my personal guess on that. PCE inflation target is 2.8 in 2023. That means the whole of 2023 is 2.8. That's the target that the Fed is going to hope to achieve. Right. Unemployment rate 3.7, like I explained earlier on. This is the Fed target as well. So these are the sets of numbers that the Fed is watching, and so we should be watching together with Jerome Powell as well. So coming to 2023, now we all look at the US market, and we sort of like have an idea of what is going on. Now, how is it going to affect us? Again, we got to take 2 steps backward first, look at the big pictures, and then we can sort of like zoom down and look at the investment that we're going to make, the plans that we're making, and then decide for yourself, right? So after looking at the US market, well, let's look at the global market as well. All right, the global market. Then this chart actually I take it from IMF global report. This information is actually published. You can actually Google it. Is IMF global economic report. It is published in October, and it is saying that the global economic at its weakest growth since 2001, except for the year of global financial crisis and COVID period. So that means to say that if we take away the GFC, global financial crisis in 2008, and you take away the COVID year, in terms of global economy, the 2023 is forecast to be as the slowest growth. All right. So it is no wonder to say that people are feeling a little bit pessimistic, because not because the economy is going bad, it's because people do not feel the excitement of the growth already, right? So like, for example, I will give a typical example. Say, supposing you work for a company, your salary increment per year is, typically, bonus 3 months, and then salary increment of, let's say, $500 per year, right? So when it comes to a year whereby the growth rate becomes slow and the company decided to conserve a little bit of cash, they decide to give you 1 month bonus, and then the increment decrease. The increment becomes from 500 becomes let's say 200. So of course, from your perspective, it's like, oh no, shit, it's not doing well, you know, but it is not doing well. It's still doing well, right? Because if it's not doing well, then the company shouldn't be giving you an increment, right? So it is still doing well. It's just that it's not as well as the previous year. And in terms of bonuses, same thing, you know, maybe in the past they have a lot of free cash flow, decide to give you more bonuses. And now they just need to conserve more cash for the following year, you know. So it's inevitably that people will feel that the economy is bad, you know. Of course, they don't say it's bad. It's just slow down, right? And of course, they can't express and slow down, so they say it's bad, right? So 2.7 on the whole is still growing. It's just that it is slow. Now, going to each individual region. Now, the chart itself on the screen speaks for itself. United States, the growth is only 1%. Eurozone is the worst, 0.5. Middle East, 3.6. Africa, 3.7. Latin America, 1.7. And you know what? Emerging developing Asia is 4.9. This is where we are. Okay, so if we think that we are bad, then you look around us, they are even worse. They are worse than us. They are really worse than us, right? So although Singapore does not fall under the category of emerging and developed Asia, we are basically developed nations right now, but for the fact that because we are a very, very small nations, and we are being surrounded by emerging and developing countries, we indirectly has benefited from their growth as well. All right, so our growth is at 4.9%. So for those who may think that, you know, who are maybe perhaps a little bit pessimistic towards our economy, don't be, because you look at this chart itself, the forecast itself, we will be doing pretty well. All right, we'll be doing pretty well. So the question here is that, you know, if you are looking for a new job, you know, which sector should be in? If you are going to investment, which sector should you be investing? That's the whole point, right? If you are doing business, you know, then you have to identify that what is the growth engine in the specific countries. You know, in Vietnam, what are the growth engine? In Indonesia, where are the growth engine? In Philippines, where are the growth engine? That's where we need to find those kind of opportunity in surrounding us. So that's where we are. Okay. So in today's market, I don't have to even elaborate further. I think you all by now should already know the media has been bombarding us with various kind of news. In the current, we are basically in a high inflation, low growth kind of a situation in the market environment, right? It started with conflicts, you know, at the beginning of the year. Then we have, you know, the Fed tightening policy. They want to shrink their balance sheet. Then because of the war and conflicts, energy price has gone up, natural gas being cut off. It actually indirectly leads into, you know, Europe, high inflation, and therefore going to recessions. High energy price in return cause food price go up, and therefore today that's what we are facing right now. Food price is extremely expensive compared to a year ago, and not to mention that with these big supply chain disruptions, which is mainly focused more on energy and food. All right, so this is basically, these are all the reason of this high inflation and low growth. Okay, so with this, any questions so far at this point? Anyone want to clarify anything or want to contribute to whatever they have just mentioned?
Hi, Jimmy.
Vivian?
Yeah, I don't understand how come low employment, if the unemployment rate goes to the fact you need to get worried. How is that so?
Okay, so the logic is this, all right, in a very layman terms, very layman terms. Of course, there are a lot of mechanism which I skip, or in fact, I don't know. I would just say I don't know, right? In a pure layman term, it's very simple. When you have a low employment rate, means what? Economy is doing good, right? Do you agree with this?
Yes.
You agree, right? So low employment means that the economy is doing good. Companies are hiring like crazy. Companies snatching for talent. They don't mind pay you a high salary just to to poach you to join us. That is basically low employment rate, right? That means to say economy is doing well, right?
Yeah.
So when companies are paying a lot of money, more than usual money, to poach a person, and people has the higher salary, they spend more, they are willing to pay more. What does it cost? What does it lead to? Inflation, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when the inflation is high, meaning to say that everything is going to be expensive, because it's basically a demand supply, right? So when your supply is limited and your demand is so high, so basically you drive the price all the way up, right? That basically is a counter effect of what the Feds is doing, because the Feds want to tame the inflation. They want to bring down the inflations, right? So indirectly, meaning to say that they don't mind to have unemployment rate. All right, unemployment go up, that's fine. People who lost their job, good luck. I don't care. My important thing is that I want this inflation rate to come down.
Oh, I see. So it's all because of the inflation rate lah, to pay me lah. Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Can.
Yes.
Understand.
So that's why I say the whole world is now looking only one thing, only inflation rates. All right. You look at Singapore case. Singapore is a very good example of everything that you see from a global perspective. So Singapore has a limited supply of COE, right? And today COE, I believe, is what, 110 or 105. I don't know, can't remember the numbers, but it's definitely more than $100,000 already, right? For a not even have a piece of paper, just a PDF file, all right? A PDF file that worth about 100 over thousands. Why is it so? It's because there's very limited supply of COE, but there's a very high demand for the COE. So people just chase out the price, and people don't mind pay for it, right? So that is basically how it is. So how do we actually lower down the COE? The only way, and the straightforward way, is number one, you can increase the supply of COE, right? So that everyone who demand for it, they will give them a COE, so the price will come down. Or the other way, for those people who bid for that high COE, this group of people, let's say the government is able to bring their household income, all right, to normalize, all right, with the 80% of the populations in Singapore. You think the COE is going to be $100,000? It wouldn't be, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, because imagine the top 20%, or maybe the top 10%, top 20% of the household income people who can afford $100,000 COE, right? If the government has a certain policy, will be able to bring this top 20% household income, normalize it with the 80% of the people. Okay, meaning to say that these people, their buying power suddenly don't have it. So suddenly don't have this power. So do you think the COE is still high? It wouldn't. It will basically go to a stage whereby it will set up the equivalent. So same thing as which is basically a hot topic discussion among the parliament and the ministers, is about HDB BTO, right? So they are saying that because right now there are people who wants to buy a resale flat, and each resale flat is easily $500,000 and above. So how to bring down the price? The question here is that who are the people who actually drive up the price, right? So the root of the problem has to address before we talk about even any other things, right? So that is so when we talk about unemployment rate, it's the same thing, you know, is when people if people have all that money and you know to spend and start to do funny thing, right, to poach people, pay you double the price to join my company and that sort of things, then the economy is considered to be red hot, right? And that is not going to do good for the majority of the people. And as a nation, as a country, the government has to control the inflation rate, and therefore the unemployment rate has to be lower. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay, so so the next thing is my personal portfolio for this. My personal portfolio strategy till 1H of 2023 is this. All right. I'm right now. I'm actually in a conservative mode. I won't say very conservative. I am in a conservative mode, and my view is basically a medium term view, meaning to say that I will not look anything further in terms of portfolio management. I will not look further than 1H. That means by March or April, I will readjust this whole entire weightage again. All right. So my first priority is to preserve fixed income. Now, if you're hearing this for the first time, what do you mean by preserve fixed income? Meaning to say that if you have a job, keep your job. All right. Don't anyhow tender resignation, you know, take a 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months holiday break, and then thinking that I come back, I will be a job waiting for me. This maybe happen in the year 2022, this year. I know that this year the job market is extremely good. All right. Next year, I'm foresee that it's going to be employer's market. All right. Employer can pick and choose next year in Singapore. All right. So so if you have a job, keep your jobs, but preserve your fixed income, make sure that it's there. If you have a property that's rent out, keep it hooray, that will continue all the way to 2024, 2025 maybe, you know, so that one I'm not going to worry. Then whatever fixed income tools that you may have, FD, bonds, you know, that sort of a fixed income that you have, keep it, right? Keep it, don't do anything to it. Make sure that you have your, you know, the income that you have, either monthly, quarterly, half yearly, yearly, you know, preserve that, right? So this is really important. Trim growth and increase fixed income. So if your portfolio has a lot of growth stocks like, for example, Tesla, you know, Apple's, you know, which is basically in the huge positions, right? Or some of those companies that that's basically has a high burn rate, meaning to say that they have no revenue or no profit margin. That those kind of companies, you know, we should by right now you should have trimmed all that positions already. All has to be converted into value stocks, right? So we are talking about companies that are making money. They have a free cash flow, and they have a profit margin. All right. So good example, for example, like you know, growth stocks with value, which is also value stocks as well, like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google. All these are good value plus growth stocks as well. But growth stocks such as, like, for example, Tesla, you know, I know that people will start to say that, hey, but Tesla is start to make money and it's going to be, you know, going to be a value stocks, you know. That argument is true when the market is on a bull run. But right now, if you ask me, in terms of what we call a conservative mode, then I would focus less on that and more for value stocks, right? So that's how I would term it that way. In terms of cash, I will be holding 20% cash, and in cash as in like, I go to ATM, I put in my card, I press the figures, it should come out from the machine. That's called cash. All right. Bonds and T-bills, I will put as 30%. As you can see that now I have increased my bonds previously from just 10%, I increased to 30% because I want to preserve my fixed income. All right, I will preserve my fixed income, which is really, really important. All right. My value stocks, REITs, ETF is 40%. So ETF is still giving dividends. REITs is still giving DPU. Value stocks, dividends as well. So I'm keeping that as 40%. Now, if your REITs is, if you're holding, like some of the REITs that I'm holding, the price has continued to go down, is predictable. All right. I'm not expecting REITs price to go up anytime sooner. All right. So the REITs price will only come back maybe sometimes in March or even April. All right. Then that may be a turn. But right now, if you're holding REITs, if you want to add more REITs into the positions, that's fine. Nothing is wrong with that. But I'm not seeing how REITs will have any uptick in the next few months or so, right? So don't expect REITs will have an outstanding performance on that. All right. Growth stocks, I will keep it at 10%. So growth stocks, again, Tesla, all these things are considered as growth stocks. I'll just trim it down to 10%. And crypto, I'll just put it as less than 1%, right? Because right now, with the FTX collapse, basically the crypto ecosystem has broken. All right, I hate to say that, but I have to recognize that with many of this hedge fund, the crypto hedge fund has gone bust, and FTX doing a lot of funny things. Apparently, the crypto market itself, the whole entire legal framework is not matured yet, right? And it's normal, right? It's normal because it takes such a huge shakeup, so that the strongest and the fittest will survive. And going forward, people stands to build the systems around a very strong companies, or they learn something out of it, right? So a typical example is the .com in 2001 and 2002 .com burst. It's the same thing, right? Anything at that time that ended with a .com, suddenly that valuations will go up 500 times, 1,000 times, that kind of things. And when the .com burst, the whole market collapsed. And what we see from 2005 onward, suddenly, tech basically just grow tremendously. And then with the introduce of smartphone, and then suddenly the whole entire .com become a business, with Alibaba, Tencent, and all these things come into play. So with crypto, it's the same thing. Currently, right now, the biggest exchange is still Binance, right? So with all the lendings and the digital bank, or rather the crypto bank, all this has got into trouble. The largest crypto exchange is now Binance. Now, how Binance is going to make, how to capitalize on this opportunity, and start to build the ecosystems around them is for us to see. So for those who are interested in crypto space, you may just want to watch, focus on just Binance, as a company, as a crypto platform, how they actually launch the products, how do they actually path their visions, towards that. So who knows, Binance can be the next Amazon. So imagine Amazon at one point of time during the .com burst, Amazon share price was, I think, less than $5, right? It was less than $5 back then, right? So if you have captured that at $5 and today price, you already, $500,000 there already. So for cryptos, yes, my focus is actually looking at Binance as a company. And also the other space I'm looking at is the metaverse. Reason why I look at metaverse is because number one, there's one company who's actively involved in that project. It's called Meta, which is also known as Facebook. And second thing is that metaverse is actually part of the movie making, the film making industry, right? So it's talk about, everything is about virtual, everything is talk about how do you actually, create products, using virtual technologies, right? So these are all products that we can make in today's technologies. In 2022, you can start to make products, using this technology, and all these can turn into revenue, right? Turn into money. So if you watch Netflix 1899, or the recent one, the newest one is Wednesday, and if you look into all these dramas, all these series, these are the companies that use what we call the metaverse technology to create that. All right. So once the metaverse is able to find its footprint and its usage and its applications, the next will come along will be NFT, then come to crypto, and then it comes to a chunk of other ecosystems. So it is happening. It is happening. As I'm speaking to you, things are changing. But of course, if you say that, hey, you know what, Jimmy, this is definitely not my cup of tea, that's perfectly fine. I'm just trying to path a vision, in terms of what we will expect from crypto. It is not a scam. It is not something that you say that, hey, people lost a lot of money in it. I lost a lot of money in crypto, right? But I still have my faith in the space as well. Okay, so that's basically my strategy for 1H 2023. Any question at this point of time?